Welcome, folks, to the second episode of The Professional Fan. You are watching with me, your host, Professional Mike, and today we're going to be discussing something near and dear to my heart, and any Cleveland Browns fans watching, I'm sure it's near and dear to yours. Today we will be discussing how to fix the Cleveland Browns in one offseason. That is it. I know what you might be thinking. I'm kind of in the same boat as well. It's not been a good season for us Browns fans, but at the end of the day, you look at a team like the Washington Commanders this season, you look at a team like the Houston Texans last season, and even to some lesser extents, even the Carolina Panthers are looking up just because they know they have their quarterback. The Browns still have some very good personnel in very key positions, and we do have a lot of draft picks, and we do have even though the national media might not tell you that, we do have a lot of cap space to work with. So it is very possible we can fix this, and I'm going to show you how. So we're going to go over free agency coverage, and we are going to go over draft and show you how the Browns can turn this around in just one offseason. So to start, before I get started here, if you're new here, please like, subscribe, share. No matter where you're watching, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Whether you're watching on X, Facebook, YouTube, what have you, it means a lot to us. So as you come in, please like this stream, share it, and subscribe for more content. But we're going to get right into it, and we're going to start with free agency. So the biggest thing with free agency is going to be key positions. I don't think we're going to see huge splashes in free agency this year, depending on what you would consider big splashes. I think there are a few key positions that the Browns are definitely going to look at, but I don't think they're going to sign T. Higgins, for example. So let's see. So here we go. So this is Spot Track. Excuse me. It's at least will show us what free agents are going to be available within 2025. Now, it's not going to be super accurate as get into this. I actually have center up first. So I think center is going to be a huge goal for the Browns to actually sink their teeth into, because under the old running scheme with Kevin Stefanski, I think you've kind of seen the last of Ethan Posich in a Browns uniform. Nick Harris, who's one of the backups, is on a one-year deal. You'll see him here as a unrestricted free agent. And also, Luke Whippler, while I was very high on him coming out of Ohio State and was surprised we got him in the 6th round 2 years ago, he is coming off of a season-ending injury. So you want somebody who's still young, who can give you good snaps, who can be just an unmitigated starter. But you want someone also at the position. So you have some pretty big names. Ryan Kelly, obviously, is going to be the biggest free agent center. He's 30 focal point of that Indianapolis offensive line. I don't think the Browns go there. This is who I think the Browns should sign. Josh Myers has been a starter for Green Bay. He's also out of Ohio State. Josh Myers is been starting at center for the past 2 years. I don't think Green Bay is going to retain him. and I think they're going to let him test free agency. And funnily enough, the last time the Browns did sign a center in free agency was J.C. Treader, who was a Green Bay starter. I think he makes the most sense. I think you can get him for relatively inexpensive. It's definitely going to be more than the $1.3 million that Spot Track is saying that he's going to obtain. I think more than likely it'll be a 3-year, $12 million year deal, something like that. I think that makes a ton of sense for the Browns. The Browns get a great center at the position, great starter, smart player, and somebody who is not going to get blown off the ball like Ethan Post does. So he can really hold his own if they go into that one-on-one normal zone run scheme. So first agenda would be to sign Josh Myers. So you have your starting center. Now we're going to go to wide receiver. Again, I don't think we're going to make a major splash, but I think we are going to sign a wide receiver in free agency and maybe draft one. But the reason why I think we're going to sign a wide receiver in free agency on top of drafting one is outside of Jerry Jeudy, the rest of your starters have a combined 15 catches. Now, I like what Stephon Diggs has shown us. Or I'm sorry, Stephon Diggs. I'm reading the Spot Track. I like what Cedric Tillman has shown us. However, he's coming off of what seems to be a very serious concussion. He's been out and sidelined a month with it. I like what you may have in Jamari Thrash, but let's be truthful here, guys. Outside of Jerry Jeudy and David Njoku, your pass catching options are very limited. So what we're going to see here is I could see us getting somebody who's very much a mercenary. And luckily this year, there's a ton of names that you can get a mercenary kind of receiver. If you were looking for someone who has speed, I'm going to give us 2 names, and I think the Browns will automatically decide on one. So the 2 names I have are Chris Godwin. Now they're saying he's going to command $20 million a year. If you can get him for 18, the Browns will sign him. I absolutely think if you can get Chris Godwin for $18 million a year, that's a no-brainer. Now, if he's commanding more than that, the Browns will not sign him. And somebody else who has been a very, very underrated receiver and who's still in their 20s is Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton is 27 years old. He's probably one of the better speed options in the NFL. He's extremely underrated. I could see the Browns signing somebody like this to be your just commanding slot role. And then your X receiver can either be Cedric Tillman or somebody else, depending on how he comes back from injury. So you're going to sign a veteran wide receiver. So you have your center in Josh Myers. You have your veteran wide receiver in Darius Slayton. And now that's quarterback. So I don't think maybe we sign a bridge guy who's going to start for half the season and then a rookie takes over, or maybe a bridge guy that's going to start the entire season until the following year when there's a better quarterback draft class. Because once we get into the draft portion about fixing the Browns in one offseason, you'll see this isn't the strongest quarterback draft class in the world. So once quarterback loads in, we'll get right into that. If it will load in. Spot Track isn't the greatest website. All right. Well, that's not going to load, and it's really only one more name that I was going to tell you. So the quarterbacks are going to be available, veteran quarterbacks. There are 3 names we're going to look at, and I'd be fine with any. Kirk Cousins, Malik Willis, and Justin Fields. And believe it or not, the one that I would want most out of those 3 guys is Malik Willis. And the reason being is Malik Willis sees the middle of the field far better than Justin Fields. And obviously, he's only in his second year in the NFL. He's still young. He has looked good in Matt LaFleur's offense, which is similar to what Kevin Stefanski used to run. So if they do go back to the bread and butter, which I think they should, and would be a no-brainer to fix this offense, Malik Willis would make a ton of sense. So, as we covered, free agency, you have a center, a wide receiver, and a veteran quarterback. That's what you get. Now, we're going to go into the draft. And this is where the bread and butter is going to come in, and where I think the Browns can deal the most damage, as it were. So I'm going to share my screen with you of the draft. All right. So here we are. I'm using this time around. I'm using the NFL mock draft database. So I like this this website because it kind of mixes in PFF and Pro Football Focus's ratings. So you kind of get a really nice balanced ratings of prospects. So, and just so you know, this is following week 16. So there's one more game in the NFL. The Browns, I think, currently sit at the 3 spot. So we're going to go ahead and enter the draft room. We'll get this going. If it will let me. Perfect. Yeah. So the Browns are currently sitting at 3. And we have a good amount of picks this year. We have 3, 34, 65, 93, 105, 165, 177, 191, 206, 214, and 215. So, as you can see, Cam Ward is currently on top of the board at quarterback. Shedeur Sanders is second. And those are kind of the 2 quarterbacks that everybody's kind of talking about as top of the board. You know, I like both of them for different reasons. I also dislike both of them for different reasons. So Browns pick at 3. Let's see how it shakes out, and we'll start the draft and go from there. Patriots have taken Will Johnson, number 1 overall. Tet McMillan has been taken 2nd overall. And we got some trade offers. So I'm not going to get into these. As the season goes on, we'll get a little bit more creative with trades and whatnot, but I'm going to act no trades. So Browns have some decisions to make here. Now, a few things. Both of these guys could end up being great starting quarterbacks in the NFL. They also could be busts. It's always 50-50, right? There are reasons I like Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. There are reasons I don't. So the reason I really like Cam Ward has the ability to scramble. He's athletic. He's got a huge arm. He is a big guy as well, much bigger than Shedeur Sanders. There are issues that come up with him. He is inaccurate at times. He also looks for the big play too often. There are some things about Cam Ward that you don't love to see out of a college quarterback. Shedeur Sanders, meanwhile, I think is the most pristine pocket passer in college football coming out of the draft. However, every time he has played above average competition, Shedeur Sanders has not looked good. Now, I understand you might say that is due to his offensive line, his offensive weapons, what have you. His offensive line is pass protected at about a 70% success rate. If you look at previous quarterbacks from small schools, ergo Teddy Bridgewater's Louisville team, even Josh Allen's Wyoming team, they had far worse pass pro grades in the O-line than Shedeur Sanders has in Colorado. But when he does stick in the pocket, he does throw a really, really nice ball. And when he steps up in the pocket, that's when he looks at his best. The issue with Shedeur is some of the things he likes to do is he likes to roll out. He likes to scramble. Some of the things you can get away with as a Big 12 quarterback. Unfortunately, in the NFL, I'm just not sure that Shador Sanders is that level of athlete at the NFL level. I do not know if he's going to be able to run bootlegs well enough or scramble or extend plays well enough. I wouldn't be surprised if Shador Sanders runs a 4.7 at the 40 if he decides to run the 40. Cam Ward is the better athlete. But there are enough question marks behind both of these guys that if I am the Browns and I'm sticking at pick 3 and both of them are on the board, it is enough for me to say that I would probably not pick either one of these guys. And that is not an issue. The best players at the top of this year's board are defensive players. That's just the fact of the matter. I like Travis Hunter a lot. He's this year's Heisman winner. He's a gadget guy, though. I don't know what he's going to be at the NFL level. He is not going to be playing offense and defense every snap at the NFL level. It just doesn't make sense. He's already been injured a significant amount at the collegiate level. And doing that at the NFL level with the best athletes in the world, I don't think makes sense. At the NFL level, he is either a slot corner or he is a designated receiver. And at pick 3 is a receiver, unless it is you are sure that he is a completely generational receiver, Randy Moss type receiver. Do you pick that? A Malik Neighbors level receiver? I say no. I don't think Travis Hunter is on Malik Neighbors level. I don't think he's at Will Johnson's level at corner. Will Johnson's the best pure corner in this draft. So where does that leave the Browns? If we're sticking at 3, our best option is to go defense. And the best defensive player in this draft is Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter, number 11 out of Penn State, has come such a long way from his first 2 years in Penn State. And he is now the best edge rusher in college football. And you place that opposite of Myles Garrett, and you have a real defensive line. I think Mason Graham is fantastic, but if Abdul Carter is here and the Browns are not trading back, you go Abdul Carter. So we're going to go ahead and draft him. And we're going to let mock draft database speed up, if it will. So the next pick on the board is pick 34. So you're 2 picks away out of the second round. So you have the second pick in the second round. Bills are picking. Lions are picking. Vikings are picking. Kansas City is picking. And we're back on the clock. So, again, we're going to ignore trade offers. We'll get a little bit more creative as the offseason goes along. So, in round 1, you pick Abdul Carter. You got the best defensive player in this year's draft. So, where do we go from here? Now I think the Browns are going to be going heavy offense. Remember, you got Josh Myers as a center, and you picked Zach Zinner the previous years. So your interior O-line you're feeling okay about. I do expect Wyatt Teller to come back. I do expect Jack Conklin to come back. Left tackle is going to be an interesting situation. I do think they will pick a tackle at some point in the draft. I don't think it's here. At pick 34, if he is there, I fully expect the Browns to go Jalen Milroe. So the Browns, like I said in the free agency portion of this, either will go Malik Willis, Kirk Cousins, or Justin Fields as your mercenary quarterback, if you will. Jalen Milroe at quarterback is the best pure athlete at this position. I will not be surprised if Jalen Milroe runs a 4.4 at the combine. Jalen Milroe has taken huge leaps and bounds from year 1 to year 2 as a starting quarterback at Alabama. He still needs refinement. He is a project. He is not going to start day 1. At least I don't anticipate him to. However, from his jump from year 1 to year 2, has shown he is incredibly coachable. You have no character flaws whatsoever with this kid. He is probably the best pure leader and locker room leader out of any college quarterback. And just from an athletic perspective, he makes the most sense. If the Browns are going to be picking a quarterback in the first 3 rounds and he is available, I think Jalen Milroe makes the most sense. I think with proper coaching, and if we do, in fact, go back to the regular Stefanski offense, Jalen Milroe makes a ton of sense. You run an RPO with this guy, forget about it. Quick, short passes. You let him know the reads. He's a smart football player. I think he'll be able to do it. You coach him through some advanced throwing mechanics. I think he can turn into a very good starter in this league. So if the Browns pick any quarterback, I think they should go Milroe in the second. And now we're going to wait for the first pick of the 3rd round with the Browns own, pick 65. And another thing I didn't mention is this draft class, the deepest positions at this draft class, interior O-line, edge class, and running back. Those are your 3 deepest classes in this draft. Very weak at receiver, very weak at tackle, probably the weakest tackle draft class in a while, and relatively weak at corner, unless you're looking for a slot corner. So we're on the clock. So at this point, there are 2 prospects that are currently on the board, both of which I absolutely adore. One of which is Alec Ayomanor, and the other is Harold Fannin Jr. Now, both of these guys, I would be happy if they ended up in orange and brown. Obviously, we can only pick one. So who do we go with? Alec Ayomanor, his stats at the collegiate level are not going to jump off the board. Reason being, he plays at Stanford. It's not a great quarterback at Stanford, but Alec Ayomanor is 6'5". He is just a big-bodied wide receiver, very polished route runner, and would, I think, be able to take over the wide receiver 1 or X position if you would want him to. The other option that I would be happy with the Browns drafting, which I'm probably going to go with, is Harold Fannin Jr. Harold Fannin Jr. is one of the best tight ends in this draft. And I apologize, I forgot to mention, tight end also extremely deep in this class. Harold Fannin Jr. has had multiple games of 200-plus yards. Harold Fannin Jr. is an excellent red zone target. If you are trying to make your rookie or bridge quarterback's life easier, and you are trying to go back to the old school Stefanski offense running far more heavier personnel, you want as many good 2 tight end sets as you can find. David Njoku, you already know what you're getting with him. He's an excellent NFL tight end. Jordan Akins, unfortunately, has not been that for us. He's mainly a pass catching tight end. Jordan Akins was. He's going to walk in free agency. There are a bunch of just kind of practice guys that have been playing like mercenary tight end for us. Unfortunately, I don't think Blake Whiteheart or any of those guys are going to remain on the roster. Harold Fannin Jr. is a no-brainer pick. He is good in the run. He is an excellent pass catcher. And if you want to make your quarterback's life easier, you get him as many big body targets as you can, whether that be a bridge or Jalen Milroe ends up starting week 1. Harold Fannin Jr. is the first pick of the 3rd round. And now we wait for pick 93. So pick 93 to pick 105, most of the players that are on the Browns board at this point are going to be relatively similar. Anything from pick 90 to about pick 120, you have those players at a similar grade. So the fact that our 4th round pick is still relatively close to pick 100, that's still a value pick for us. So really the first 5 picks, you are getting starting caliber level players. At least you hope so. So here we have some interesting things to go through as well. So Alfred Collins is a run-stuffing defensive tackle. Kevin Winston Jr., best safety on the board. If we win defense again, we would more than likely go safety. Remember, Rodney McLeod is retiring. You're probably going to let Juan Thornhill walk. So that leaves you with the options of Ronnie Hickman and Grant Delpit. Those are your 2 starting safeties. So I'm going to look at what running backs we have available. Okay. So this is where the Browns go running back. Nick Singleton with the 93rd pick, I think, is his steal. He's an excellent pass-catching back, but he could also be your bell cow back. Nick Singleton is the engine of the Penn State offense. Him and Tyler Warren are essentially all they have on offense. And I think this is the draft that the Browns might have to double dip in running back. And if you're going to get a core starting offensive piece, again, you have a bridge quarterback or you're starting Jalen Milroe. You're going to want to make things easy. You're going to run the ball as much as possible. Nick Singleton is going to give you the opportunity to do that. So with the 93rd pick, the Browns pick Nick Singleton. What the rest of these guys do. The computers in these can get silly sometimes, I will honestly admit. Oh, we're on the clock again. This is perfect. No trades. No, Jacksonville. All right. So this is a no-brainer pick for me, and I'll tell you why. So you got some nice corner options. Anthony Belton. Ooh, you might want to go there. John A. Cornelius. Anthony Belton is someone you might be. Once again, I said that the Browns don't have a ton of wide receiver options. So you've drafted you signed Darius Slayton. You have Cedric Tillman. You're trying to make things as easy on your rookie or bridge quarterback as possible. Jalen Royals is a very smart pick here. Jalen Royals, like Alec Manor, has not jumped off the page with stats, and you might have not been familiar with his name before now. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a great quarterback at Utah State, but Jalen Royals, great nose for the ball, excellent hands, very polished route runner, much like Alec Manor. Or if the Browns decided to go Anthony Belton here and get a tackle prospect, I wouldn't blame them either. However, because you're trying to get as many offensive weapons as possible, and honestly, you feel good about the O-line besides left tackle, Jalen Royals is probably the most value pick you can get at pick 105. And now the Browns have to wait a while because this is Detroit's 5th-round pick now that we are drafting with. Also, if you're just joining us, let us know what you've thought so far. What are some of your favorite prospects in this year's draft or this year's free agency that you think the Browns should target, or you think that it would be dumb for the Browns if they didn't even try to target? Let me know, because I mean, there's a lot of strong, very strong opinions out there floating right now, and there's a lot of varying opinions. All opinions are welcome, obviously, and I'm not perfect. I try and do my due diligence and research, but hell, I can be wrong. Passing on Cam Ward might be the worst mistake the Browns ever make. Who knows? I can only make educated guesses. So, like I said, now we're waiting a little while for the 5th-round pick because this is Detroit's 5th-round pick we traded Zadarius Smith for. John A. Cornelius has lasted a while. Oh, like an angel's kiss, it's gone. I did select fast on this mock draft. I think it's just so far, if you're just joining us, in free agency, the Browns signed either Malik Willis, Justin Fields, and or Kirk Cousins. They signed center Josh Myers out of Green Bay, and then they signed wide receiver Darius Slayton from the Giants. And this is the draft so far. We're fixing the Browns in one fell. Carter with the 3rd overall pick, best defensive end in the class. We have gone Jalen Milroe with the 34th overall pick. Then to give him some extra help, the next 3 picks have been complete offense with Harold Fannin Jr., one of my favorite tight end prospects. Nick Singleton, who is an excellent running back prospect who can be a bell cow back. And then Jalen Royals, a very underrated wide receiver prospect. And now we are simply waiting for pick 165 to roll around. We're almost there as well. Wonder if he'll be there when we draft Tyron. No one pick. And we're on the clock. Again, no trades. All right, here is where I think the Browns start going best player available. And the best player available, in my opinion, not just because he's at the top of the board, is Ty Robinson. And he's an excellent run defender. And I think he would do the Browns justice on that end. Mo Hurst and Shelby Harris probably won't be returning to the Browns. That being said, 7th-round pick Juwan Briggs in his 100 rookie snaps has looked excellent. Also, Mike Hall, the first pick in last year's draft, also defensive tackle, has looked excellent. So, Andrew Berry, for all his faults, evaluation Has he missed? Yes. Every general manager misses. However, he has hit more than he's missed. And frankly, if you're getting someone who in the fifth round, you are looking for somebody who can be a good rotational piece, Jared Wilson's here as well. But again, you have Luke Whippler coming back. You signed Josh Myers in free agency. You also have Zach Zinter waiting in the wings. I don't think they go guard here. If they do go guard, probably with one of the later seventh round or sixth round selections. So we're going to go Ty Robinson. Very good run defender. Somebody that you would feel comfortable having in rotation behind those two gentlemen I just mentioned. And the Browns have like sixth round picks. I'm exaggerating a little bit. Let me see how many it actually is. 1, 2, 3, 4 sixth round picks this year. All right. So I do expect the Browns to double dip a little bit in this draft, especially at running back. Cameron Scadaboo is an excellent pass catching back. He's also good in short yardage situations. Raheem Sanders, I don't think, is here. Or else I'd go ahead and pick him. Let me see if he's available. Kendra. Oh, no, there he is. So I'll probably swing around back to get Raheem Sanders, who has a very similar skill set to Cameron Scadaboo. The Browns need a safety, but they don't need a starting safety per chance. Malachi Moore, I think, makes sense for the Browns. You have a good, strong safety option backing up Grant Delpit, Ronnie Hickman as well. And then the Browns can address that otherwise. Whether they go safety in free agency or not is still up in the air. That's why I didn't go over that on Spot Track. However, if they did want to go safety in free agency, they do have a lot of options. Eddie Jackson is going to be out there. Justin Simmons is going to be out there. There's a ton of safety options. Safety, unfortunately, in the NFL has kind of fallen into one of those positions where it's almost like running back of the defense. People are not valuing safety as high as they used to. So here, with our third sixth round pick, or I'm sorry, our second sixth round pick, still available. Yes. So at this point, you just want to grab players that you like. The Browns should most certainly double dip at running back in this draft class. This is a very strong draft in running back. You have your bell cow back with Nick Singleton. You'll probably bring back Nick Chubb on a 1 or 2 year vet minimum deal. However, you don't know what you're going to get out of him. He has now had 2 season-ending injuries. And as a Browns fan, I'm sure you can relate. It's the worst damn thing in the world. Nick Chubb is the heart and soul of this team. Breaks my heart. However, if you got to keep the team going, you're going to double dip at running back. You have a plethora of 6th-round picks. And I am making every pick here, guys. I do not expect the Browns to do so. I don't think they'll pick, 9 to 10 plus players in this draft. I do expect them to trade up or trade out at some point. Again, we're not doing that. We'll get more creative as the offseason rolls along. But for these reasons, deep running back class, you want to get as many good players as you can. I've drafted Raheem Sanders here. Excellent short yardage back, can be your red zone back, your third down back. Perfect for that. He kind of takes that Kareem Hunt-like role. And now you have a pretty good running back duo. Again, trying to make things as easy as possible for your bridge and or your rookie quarterback that's starting. So following that, the Browns still have 2 6th-round picks. I will admit, Andrew Berry does love to do work at those 6th-round picks. No trades. No, thank you. 3 7th-round picks for a 6. My God. So Justin Wally is available, and so is Luke Kandra. I like Luke Kandra a lot. He's a very excellent run blocker. He is decent enough in pass pro. You have Zach Zenner in the wings. You have Luke Whippler coming back healthy. Now, I don't know if Joe Bitonio retires, but if he does, you expect Zach Zenner to go there. You've already signed Josh Myers. You don't know if you're going to bring back Michael Dunn, who's your sixth man in the interior of that O-line. The Browns are going to want to get that back. You have UDFA Javion Cohen from last year out of Miami. I haven't heard what the Browns think of him or whether he's going to be seeing any significant uptick in playing time or not. So you have multiple 6th-round picks. Like I said earlier, if they go interior, they probably wait. So they go Luke Kandra here. And we have a 6th round and a 7th round back-to-back. So here, the Browns are going to want to get some more special teams guys that have the propensity to start. Nick Martin is a great run stopping linebacker. He's not as good as getting sideline to sideline, but he'll be good in special team situations. And then with the last pick in the draft, take a flyer at a tackle. See if you can develop something. Brandon Crenshaw Dixon played out of Florida. Down year for Florida all around. See what you can do. So, folks, that is the draft. So, once again, in free agency, you have signed Josh Myers, you have signed Darius Slayton, and you have signed either one of 3 of Kirk Cousins, Malik Willis, or Justin Fields. They also have the propensity where they might go safety. The draft looks like this. These are your bread and butter players. Your first 5 picks. Jalen Royals, Nick Singleton, Harold Fannin, Jalen Milroe, Abdul Carter. And then some good guys waiting in the wings. You do these things, and the Browns successfully rebuild in one offseason. I truly believe that is the best course of action for the Browns. Let's get into some comments. Torrey Graber, apologies, thinks that we should sign Deion Sanders' son, draft him rather. Now, I like Shedeur Sanders. I don't know if I like him that much. Raul's having some fun. Austin Augusta says sell the team. I don't know how that'll help. So, folks, doing those things, I really think the Browns will be able to turn it around. Once again, you look at teams like Washington. You look at teams like Houston. You look at teams to a smaller extent like Carolina that are in the green. Teams that are turning it around, they really just need one good offseason. And sometimes that's just what you know and what you have to do. The Browns had to swallow a very hard pill, and they didn't have a spoonful of sugar to help their medicine go down, as it were, with Deshaun Watson. They paid him a fully guaranteed contract. There were 14 other teams that were in the mix for him. You were hoping you were getting a franchise quarterback, and unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. So now the Browns have to figure it out. Personnel-wise, you still have some very good players in key positions. You still have a ton of draft picks now. You have your first-round picks back, as well as, the areas of need outside of quarterback and tackle. The Browns have a lot of areas of need where this draft is strong. So that is, again, a plus. I think the Browns can and will turn it around. It's just a matter of how they go about it. Now, again, this is as if they approach free agency. Normally, they're just signing guys. They're approaching the draft. Normally, they're not trading picks. I don't think that's going to be the case. I do think they will make some trades of their own personnel. I also think that they'll probably trade some picks. I don't think they're going to make as many 6-round selections as we did here today. I also think that the Browns may very well have another day 2 pick on top of the ones that we picked. I do think there might be a certain DB on the move. We'll have to see. But Greg Newsome's time with the Browns may be out the window, as it were. But folks, that was the second episode of The Professional Fan. We successfully rebuilt the Browns in one offseason. And I think this would be a very solid draft for the Browns. I think they would have a ton of upside on a lot of those prospects. And I think that free agency signings would make the most sense. Let me know what you think. What prospects do you love that I didn't pick? Or what, maybe you like Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders more than I do. Maybe you think that would be the way to go in the first round. Let me know what you think. I'm always open to hearing more things. I know everybody, it's the off season's about to start. The Brown season's been over for some time. Everybody's planting their flags at a bunch of different places, whether that be Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. Hell, I've seen some people like talking about Aaron Rodgers to Cleveland now. Don't know if that's something I necessarily want, but we'll see. But folks, thank you so much for joining the second episode of The Professional Fan. Please leave a comment. I will be more than happy to answer any questions you may have, or feel free to @ me at Twitter, quote tweet me, what have you. Be more than happy to do so. Follow me on X, Twitter, what have you. I'm at Antonis Michael. It's on the little banner at the bottom. Please like, subscribe, and share this content. It helps the show a lot, and we're trying to get this as far-reaching as possible. And hopefully, Browns fans, we have greener pastures ahead. I know it looks bleak, but let me leave you with this. If the Commanders can turn it around in an offseason, we sure as hell can too. But folks, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a lovely evening and have a beautiful tomorrow. My cat agrees.